everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is James Rohrbach. I am the, actually, could you go to that's the last page. Can you go to the first page, please? I am the CEO of Fluent City. Since we're on me, a bit about me. I'm here to talk about the future of language learning and technology, a bit about my background. I'm an education entrepreneur, have been for 10 years, sold my first business, and was an executive at 2 others, including 2U. And my primary focus and passion is the liberal arts. There's been a ton of great work done on STEM in the past 10 years, but I believe very strongly that the liberal arts has an equally important role to play in both the workplace and in society going forward. I think you see some of the problems of a lack of focus on the liberal arts in our contemporary politics, and I think it's really encouraging to see a reinvestment in the liberal arts as sitting alongside STEM education and vocational training in the workplace just in the past couple of years. So that's really where I build my career. And my current business, Fluent City, is at one node in the liberal arts that's very exciting, language training. So, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. A bit about Fluent City. We are a premier language training organization. We're best known for creating immersive and conversational learning environments enhanced by technology and led by people. To my knowledge, we're one of the fastest growing language programs in the country. We operate in 4 locations with 350 instructors. We've served over 25,000 students, and we are far and away the highest reviewed language training organization on Yelp and other social platforms. We started in brick and mortar, but our mission is to be the most effective language training program in the world. Not efficient, not fun, not fast, effective, which I define as delivering real-world outcomes. And in order to achieve that mission, we've expanded beyond our brick-and-mortar beginnings, and we now do online programs and also work with the enterprise. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the presentation. But first, I just want to talk for a minute about the role that technology and innovation will have in language learning in the next couple of years. You know, frankly, I think that there's a lot of misguided approaches that are happening in the market today. The most well-known, obviously, language learning platform out there today is Duolingo and all of its competitors. And these self-study platforms are terrific games. They are terrific ways to engage a mass audience of casual learners to have fun. But in terms of actually driving learning outcomes for second language acquisition, their outcomes are abysmal. And indeed, they're very transparent about the fact that that's not even the goal that they're striving for. Their KPIs are game metrics like engagement. They're not learning metrics like functional proficiency. There are a couple different reasons for this. The first is overly focused on grammar. The second is overly reliant on adaptive learning. Adaptive learning works great in some areas. It has not been proven in language learning yet. And third, there's something kind of a priori ridiculous about the idea of becoming fluent or conversationally proficient in another language while never interacting with another human being. So these self-study platforms are highly limited from an efficacy standpoint. What about some of the other technologies that are out there, where there's been a ton of hype about AR, VR, and speech recognition? I think those have a lot of promise. You've seen Busuu come out with an Alexa app Alexa skill for language learning. Monly has a VR app, but these are very much in the prototype phases and a long way off from being anything that's going to deliver real outcomes. On the other hand, I think augmented reality has real potential in the next couple of years to drive language learning outcomes, but perhaps not in the way that you would think. So once you have a language learning layer on top of your experience out in the world, that is both going to make language learning easier, but also change some of the use cases. So for example, once you can get a menu translated in real time, it's much less important that you know food vocab, but it's still really important that you know how to walk into that restaurant and ask for a table. And so that's what Fluent City is all about. This is a quote from Michael Ha, one of the leaders in the field. You can't outsource deep cross-linguistic and cross-cultural knowledge to apps. This is a point that I think people who aren't deeply immersed in the field regularly underestimate. Language learning is not about grammar and conjugating verbs. Language learning is about pragmatics. What is pragmatics? That's just a fancy word for confidence, cultural knowledge, and situational awareness. Those are the things that are actually related to achieving real-world outcomes. So, in other words, it's not really relevant if you use Duolingo or not, but it's really relevant that when you're in Paris and you walk into a cafe or a store, you know that when you enter, you say bonjour, and when you leave, you say bonne journée. And knowing that is fundamental cultural knowledge that will allow you to interact with people in a deeper way. That will always remain deeply important, and that's what Fluent City is all about. So to achieve this pragmatics-driven approach, we combine cutting-edge technology with leading instructors. From my time at 2U and also from my time, just I think what you've seen in EdTech in the past 10 years, blended learning is clearly the best way to drive learning outcomes. And so we do that. We start with our instructors. We only hire, 4% of all the instructors that apply to work for us. And we have a very rigorous and frankly idiosyncratic hiring rubric. Then we empower, extend, and enable them with technology. Yes, we have a virtual classroom, no big deal there, but we're also just starting to build tools using machine learning and natural language processing to fundamentally transform the experience for our teachers and our students. The three guiding principles that we have behind our product are relevant, personalized, and hospitable. By relevant, I mean content that is deeply relevant to the specific user. By personalized, that means personalized to their specific journey, what their kind of knowledge gaps are. And hospitable is the one that I think is the most important. We fundamentally believe that the way a learner feels when they are learning directly drives outcomes. We think about the entire student experience, not just the academic or curricular component. That's relatively rare. The interesting thing as we've embarked on this is we've seen applications beyond just general language learning. There are specific use cases that just in the past few months have really risen to the surface where this combination of blended learning plus a kind of deeply personalized approach can drive differentiated outcomes. These are just a couple of examples. And that's kind of led us to start to think more about serving the enterprise. So this is a great quote from the Harvard Business Review that just articulates that language learning is a competitive advantage, and the soft skills that you learn aren't just applicable to, oh, you have teams from different countries, but actually the soft skills you develop help within teams in the same country just because they are the types of soft skills that lead to better communication and all the things that make for thriving, high productivity workplaces. So last year we just hung a shingle and started to do some inbound business with organizations. These are some of our clients. This is 100% inbound just over the past year. And that's really given us a lot of encouragement and positivity to continue along this enterprise route. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your time. If you're interested in what we're up to, I'd love to talk to you after this. We're also about to embark on a capital raise. So if you're an investor and you're interested in the field or what we're doing, I'd love to talk to you. Please come find me after. Thank you.